Hey guys, I'm Caitlin and I'm a junior in a second year and my position is the co-creative director.
Hi everyone, my name's Daphne and I'm a sophomore and I'm also the co-creative director. Welcome to our brand new podcast, The Second Floor Studio by FIL-SOC Productions, where we talk about the FIL-SOC org and invite members and alumni on the show to cover topics ranging from Asian culture to different aspects of their lifestyle.
Today we are joined by Lauren and Alexis, our lovely co-cultural directors.
Hi guys, I'm Lauren and I am a sophomore.
And I'm Alexis and I am going into my second year, but I'm considered a junior.
How is everyone doing?
Good.
Great.
Excited. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm also excited.
Yeah, me too.
So what have you guys been up to lately?
For me, I guess other than catching up on sleep, because usually during the school year I barely get any sleep. I'm sleep deprived most of the year anyway. But I've been creating music, like lo-fi music, and working out. I've been finding time to work out again because last summer I started and then school happened and then now we're getting back on it, you know?
Hey.
Appreciate the grind. Really been doing anything. Just been relaxing. Currently reading a book. It's People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Good, so gets me in the summer mood. That's what matters right now.
Hey, that's good.
So now moving on to what we are covering today in celebration of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, also commonly known as AAPI, we thought it would be a great idea to bring in our co-cultural directors and
But before we begin, please stay updated with us on our org social media on our Facebook page at FIL-SOC and Instagram at WSU_FIL-SOC. Our podcasts will be uploaded both on IGTV as well as our YouTube channel, Filsoc of Wayne State University.
Okay, now to begin, how would you guys define culture?
For me, I would say that culture is probably just a way for us to embrace the things that are important to us. Maybe that's music or dance or food or traditions or anything like that.
That is actually a good answer to define culture. And to sort of add on to that, culture is like the characteristics or traits that sort of identify a specific group of people, and they're unique to that specific group. And even though that culture is created within that group, whether it be language, music, or food, or upbringing, way of life, they're sort of also universal, right? Because those things are shared within different groups.
Hey, that's nice. According to Google, culture is the customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group. So since we've all defined culture, how was it for you guys growing up as Asian?
For me, I would kind of talk about this in my post on Instagram, but it's just something I never really thought about too hard growing up until probably around middle school. Just when teenage girl things started happening of comparing myself to others and then trying to reach this impossible standard of Eurocentric beauty and everything. And I think it was something I really struggled with growing up just because I didn't have the light hair and the big eyes and everything. And it wasn't until I would say a few years ago that's when I finally realized being Filipina makes me unique, and it's something that I think is really important to me, even though at one point it wasn't something I wanted to embrace. It was something I cover up. So kind of realized I started doing that once I started surrounding myself with more friends that were like me, more Asian friends and stuff. Or I would surround myself following on social media who also looked like me, who were also East Asian or something like that. So, yeah, that was my experience.
Yeah, and for me, I moved around a bit when I was younger, and so that meant I was surrounded by a diverse community, right? Whether it be in Michigan or in Ohio. I also moved to Louisiana, where there was mostly a whole Asian community there full of Lao people like me. And when I was here in Michigan and in Ohio when I was younger, like during preschool or kindergarten, I always noticed that I was different because nobody really looked like me. I was like the only Asian kid in my class. And of course, other kids knew that too because I looked different from them, right? I had the different colored hair and I looked different. And I guess they never really othered me, though. I know that's common sometimes when we're growing up, where other kids sort of make these unintentional comments, but they're they can still affect us as we're growing up, and we sort of have these pressures to sort of cave into these standards in our society because we look different. But as I was growing up, I sort of always embraced my own culture because I saw that it made me different, and I saw that in a positive way. Because why try to be like everybody else, right? That's how I sort of thought of it when I was growing up. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of similar to both what Lauren and Alexis said. I was surrounded like with a lot of Filipino culture, but then again, I had some difficulty, especially growing up. I mentioned this also in my Instagram post, but having like a cultural identity crisis, just trying to figure out what being Asian American meant to me, being Filipino, but also American at the same time, and having immigrant parents that weren't born here, but I was born here, and just being confused because we experienced so many different things, and I honestly will never probably understand how it was for them to grow up there in the Philippines, and they will probably not really understand how it was to grow up in America, and also just growing up and being more aware of how different you are, like things like racism and just microaggression from other people, whether they meant it or not.
Yeah, like I agree with you guys about like how like in the beginning when I was little, like it felt like pretty like normal, like just like existing. But then like when you enter like when I think it was towards like the end of elementary school. Like there's like one thing that like really shocked me was when like one of my classmates went up to my mom and bowed to her and said konnichiwa. Like my mom was just like she didn't know what to do. She just looked at him and then I'm like cuz I saw it happening and like it just made me really uncomfortable. Like he was kind of like it made me like it could make you feel like kind of like an outsider because like he's pointing out like how different you are from everyone else and like that was like one thing that like just it made me like feel really uncomfortable with and like I don't know, I just had like so many experiences with like feeling like out of place being Asian, like in like middle school like people would like come up to me and be like, oh, I wish I was Asian because you're smart, and I'm like that doesn't make sense because like how smart you are does not relate to like your own race. Like it's your personal hard work that you put in. So I felt like that was like undermining what like I've done for myself. Okay, so now that we talked about that, moving on, we would like to get to know more about you and your position. Why did you guys choose to become the co-cultural directors?
That's a good question. For me, I would say because, like I mentioned earlier, I just really wanted to start embracing my culture more, and I figured what better way to do that than co-cultural director. Also, just being the intern for the co-cultural directors too, so shout out Jill and Ray, but I just seeing all the hard work that they would put into PCN along with everyone else on eBoard last year, and just being the intern of seeing just like what goes on behind this stuff, it was just really interesting for me to kind of think about being given that opportunity to spread your culture to people who do know it, but then also people who may not know it as well. So I don't know, just that idea of just leading such a big night like PCN was something that I thought was really exciting, and I thought who better to work with Alexis on that. So yeah.
For me, I also started off as an intern, and I interned under the president position because under the president, you sort of like oversee the whole entire org, right? All board positions, you get feedback from all positions. And when I was like towards the end of our internship, I was like, if I ever am to run for board, I would run for co-cultural director because it's where I could probably have the most input, right? And being somebody from another culture, I guess, different from the Filipino culture, I would be able to, I guess, open my mind up to a whole other culture. And while also spreading my own and promoting my own culture and just having it be a whole learning experience for all of us. And it's great to be able to open your mind up to other cultures because when you're doing that, you're sort of opening your mind up to the world, right? Because there are other cultures that sort of make up the world and who we are as people.
Like honestly, I find it really cool how you ended up like deciding to join like FIL-SOC. Like I just think that's really cool.
I was introduced to
Yeah.
FIL-SOC when I was at EMU, and I was like, if I'm gonna attend Wayne, I'm gonna join a cultural student org, and FIL-SOC was one of the very top ones. I researched it, I went on Get Involved, and I was like, I'm gonna go.
Yes, I'm glad to have you guys on the board with us. In relation to Filsoc, if you guys did not know yet, this was all our first year at Wayne. So how was it for you guys?
Whew. Definitely a challenge. I mean, like everyone says, this was an unprecedented time, so it's not really like you could go to someone and be like, do you have advice for like dealing with Zoom classes or dealing with like the feeling of isolation and stuck in your room like all day at a computer. So, I mean, we're all learning all together, so that was kind of tough. But I think the biggest thing for me that was the hardest challenge to overcome this year was just knowing that I'm missing out on some traditional things, like being able to try out new clubs or like meeting new people in my classes and everything, just because like it's much easier for me to make friends seeing someone face to face rather than like cameras off on a Zoom call and stuff. So, and just dealing with like isolation of just in my room by myself all the time. And I don't know. I'm a person who's always like go, go, go. So it's kind of weird for me to be stationary for so long on days on end, but we made it. We did the first year. So,
Yes.
so now.
Yeah, definitely, it's definitely different being at home and just fully online, especially since we're so used to being outside and meeting other people, especially during school and events, and just meeting family or for lunch, for example. And it's different because we're now just sitting in our rooms at home for like 18 hours if we're doing school and notes and quizzes. And it could be tough, right? There would be days where I'm always in my room and I would have to personally ask my parents and be like, can we go to the store today just to get at least 10 minutes outside? Because I'm a person who always likes being outside, right? And just sort of just seeing the nature. And it's really hard when you're in at like home all the time and not seeing the sun and breathing the fresh air.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of like the opposite of like Laura and Alexis. I am very much a homebody and I like being outside, but you know, it was also just kind of upsetting and it kind of sucked, you know, not even having the option to go out. I've never been on campus before. So just again, like missing out on things and hearing like, oh, you know, I can't wait till you see this stuff and all that. And just kind of getting excited, but also just sad because you don't know when that time is going to come. And again, like being an introvert for me, it's already hard to make friends, but at this point, like just being outside kind of forces you to interact with others and be, you know, kind of get over that social anxiety. But since we couldn't, like, I guess just kind of burying myself in a hole or whatever, not being able to see people and their faces and just to get to know them on a personal level because I felt like I haven't been able to show my true self over just like a Zoom call or something.
Yeah, like I remember I talked to like Daphne about this. Like, it's just weird because since school is online, like you have that hesitation to just like unmute yourself or just like turn on your camera. Like it just feels weird because like if everyone else doesn't have their cameras on, it feels like no one's there. You just see their name. Like so yeah, like I just think it's just weird that now it's just so hard to like interact with people. Like usually I'm like a really extroverted person. Like I'm pretty shy too at the same time, which is kind of contradictory, but like it still works. But like on the first day of school, like I remember like I was just like in the basement with like my laptop and stuff and like just like having no one have their cameras on and then like not being able to be like, "Hey, how are you?" Like, "Oh, you want to trade Instagrams and stuff?" Like just not having that ability to do that, like it gave me like a lot of like stress. So like that night I like went to bed and I was crying. Like usually like I don't cry a lot, but that was just like it just felt so weird and like not natural. So yeah, and like I feel like going into like college and stuff, like I don't know, there's like some things that I did not know. I did not know that peer mentors and like teacher assistants existed. I just knew the professor existed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like oh yeah, another thing, like Daphne and like our other friend Giselle was supposed to we were all supposed to dorm together, but like because of like the pandemic that ruined our chances.
I was the same
Yeah,
way.
like
I
it.
also to live
Mhm.
in the dorm with one of my friends, and it was so like heartbreaking for us to just not imagine being on campus and stuff. Ah,
It was just really sad because like me and Caitlin, we even like bought stuff for our dorm. We had a whole list, and then eventually, like when we got to the point where like, oh, we just can't dorm anymore. We either like returned the stuff or just kept some of it for our own room. And it's just like just the shopping part was a little bit of an experience of like what dorming would be like, just the shopping part. But then that was just like cut off, and that was our only thing.
When we do go back on campus, or if we do, would you guys plan on dorming together again?
Like I was thinking hard about this, but like I thought that like because the reason why I wanted to dorm was I didn't have like a car or anything. Like I didn't drive yet. I still don't drive yet. But that's a future matter. But like I'm going to get like a car soon, so then like dorming it was either like dorming or car, so I just picked the car.
Yeah, same for me. I have my license, but I just really can't drive right now. That's also like kind of like a side effect of like the pandemic, but just not. I don't have places to go, and then since I don't drive now, I'm just reluctant to drive at all, even though I have a license. So yeah, but I think we both just decided to um, commute instead of dorm.
We're saving money.
Maybe
yeah, I was
another.
gonna say I say
Mhm.
Being online definitely took some adjustment because we're sort of doing everything in an opposite way. We're like meeting people online first and we haven't seen each other in person, unlike how we meet each other in person, being like,
Yeah.
okay, let's work your number, we can FaceTime, but now it's just fully online. And it's I feel like it's gonna be different because talking to people online is so different from seeing each other in person. It's gonna be like, how's it gonna be when we go in person? It's gonna be more awkward.
Oh
Or like
yeah.
see each other and be like, yeah, it's different.
Like I still find it so
Yeah.
funny when like Ray mentioned like that he didn't know any of our heights.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, for real, like I don't know how tall you guys are. So
I was just gonna say it was nice having Filsoc though because it did give me that outlet of just being able to meet new people in a relaxed environment rather than friends while you're in the middle of like a lecture or like a discussion class and stuff. So also kind of forced proximity of like working on that intern-led workshop that kind of brought us all together.
oh yeah.
It's kind of scary in the moment, I'm not gonna lie, but then with time it kind of I feel like it really was like brought us all together and made us all click along with Bella, of course. So yeah, I don't know. It was a blessing in disguise, I would think.
That's
Yeah, like little did we know that intern-led meeting would just be the future board. Like, yes.
I know. Like initially, like I was really confused on if I wanted to run or not. Like having like the like because I yeah like because I was like, man, if things go back on campus, like I don't even know like where everything is. Like I'd be a horrible board member. So like yeah.
Yeah, now that you mentioned that, just to like give everyone some context, originally, you know, we had an intern group chat and we're like, oh, is anyone running? And then like almost all of us said no. But in the end, we all ended up running. So, I mean, it was a little ironic, a little bit like, oh, okay. I see that we're all running even though we said no, but you know, it all worked out in the end, which was really nice.
Not to mention that you literally called us out on it during the was it the last EBM that you called us on it? And then we was like shocked that you would even bring that up. Like, oh my gosh.
Because no one was saying anything. I'm like, well, whatever. I mean, it was kind of like weird because we were not that close to like the original. Well, no, well, I don't know. Yeah, you just wouldn't expect me to say that, but I just want to say that because why not? Like, it was a funny moment shared to everybody. But yeah. I just wanted to go back to what Alexis was saying because I think it's something that is kind of like weird, but eventually, you know, when you get into person, like in-person classes, just that like whole adjustment and how it's going to be. Because I remember like people would ask me, or like even my one professor, because I only had one synchronous class, and like I didn't know it, but like just having to like meet up with him was really nice because I didn't know any of my professors honestly. Like that, but I had to meet up with him just for like things with assignments. But he asked me like, "Oh, how are you doing online? Like, how do you feel, especially eventually with the transition?" I was like, "Oh, you know, I'm nervous. Like, I don't know how to function, how to like be in a classroom full of people, or those TikToks where it's just like, can I go to the bathroom?" And then you know, like college professors are like, yeah." I don't know if any of you have seen those TikToks, but it's really funny. Like, honestly, I don't know why they do that in like high school or whatever education at all, like where we have to raise our hands to go to the bathroom. Well, obviously when you're like younger, yes, but like now I just have the urge to raise my hand, like, can I go to the bathroom? Yeah, you can. Like, we probably don't even need to ask them.
I was just thinking about another thing that I didn't know existed was the office hours. Like I didn't know that like teachers had office hours because I was just so used to asking questions before or after class. So like it just felt weird. Lauren, were you about to say something earlier?
Oh no, I was just like, can you tell we're all freshmen? Or we were all freshmen?
Oh my gosh. Like, tell me you're a freshman without telling me you're a freshman.
Yeah, exactly.
But like luckily like cuz you know how like we're struggling to like find our way around campus cuz like we've never been really on there. Like I heard that like eventually they might make like a orientation thing for sophomores or like second years and then like at least we could get a grasp on like where everything's at.
Wait, why is that so?
All right. Question time. Okay, here are some questions that cover our topic today about culture.
Okay, what is everyone's favorite traditional food? I can start out since I have a clear answer. My answer would be lumpia and then the dessert brazos. I'm just a simple gal. Like usually there's always lumpia and I love lumpia. And then brazos, it's just so good. It's basically just like a big egg and I like eggs. So
Like for me, I don't know, like I eat everything. So I would want to say everything, but like the one like food that I don't get tired of is like sinigang. I don't know, it's like the sourness of it is just so good and like the vegetables. Oh, yeah.
Healthy queen could not be me. My favorite, like the hardest question of the whole podcast. Mine would probably have to didn't go on. Not gonna lie. It's kind of like out there, but that would probably be my favorite if I had to choose just one. Just because I get it so rarely. and I think it's so good.
For those who don't know what that is, can you explain a little bit what that is?
Oh, well, I was thinking about chocolate soup. Go ahead.
Is
What?
is that
Okay,
that's
like,
why I think it's so good for people. That's because it's like everyone, whenever you tell them what it is, they're always just like, "Oh, why would you eat that?" But like, have you had it? It's
I
delicious.
know. Like,
And you
that,
have it with like puto on the side, like, oh my gosh, it's so good.
like, when I heard, like, I think I heard about it in, like, elementary school when, like, because, like, some people refer to dinuguan as chocolate soup just so, like, they could pretend that, like, it's not, like, actually, like, blood and, like, the inside of the pig and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. I told my mom, I was like, I'm going to feed that whenever I bring home a guy to the family.
Oh
And then
my
if he eats
She
it,
said,
then I'll marry him. But if he won't eat it, then I'm not going to marry him.
okay. She said, let me put up a little trap. That's actually good.
Are you gonna call it chocolate
That's
soup?
Yeah, mom is chocolate. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
I feel
Why
like
is it a
chocolate and
soup?
meat sounds a little pretty good.
Yeah, don't ask any questions.
Exactly.
You guys are gonna have to let me try all of those.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we will. Alexis, we got you.
For sure.
For me, for my traditional favorite, I'm the same as Caitlin. I would want to say everything because I eat everything. I'm not picky. But from Laotian food, I would say kapun namkai, which is like this. How do I describe this? It has this curry and chili pepper broth base, and we eat it with rice noodles. You can also add in vegetables like lettuce or green beans, like chopped green beans, and cilantro. That's a must, cilantro. And I always add in pepper. I love spicy food. Gotta add that extra pepper in, even though it already has chili pepper in, because it's not as spicy in the soup, but the pepper is the main thing. But and we're currently eating it right now. My parents made it this week. So
Ooh, that's good.
That sounds good. Yeah. Yeah, I can't handle spice, but I appreciate the spice.
I'm the same way, don't worry. But same for you, Alexis. You better let us try some traditional Laotian food.
yes.
We'll do a little potluck and we'll trade.
That sounds
that'd
like a
be
good
cute.
Oh my
idea.
gosh. You know what? If we get back on campus, we should do a potluck. Like, that'd be so fun.
It's so good.
All right. Like, speaking of traditional food, Alexis, we're just wondering, but are there any like similarities and or differences between Filipino and how do you pronounce that? Laotian? I'm sorry.
Laotian.
Laotian? Laotian. Okay. Yeah, between Filipino and Laotian culture?
Yeah, actually. Filipino and Laotian culture, I feel like we're very family oriented. Everything is family based, right? Big family events and every holidays with family and friends. And I see that we're all very welcoming, especially to people that we haven't met before. When it comes to new people, we just accept them. You're like, hey, you're a friend already, you're family already. Like, come on in, you know? It's sort of like, as I said, like very family based. And upbringing when we're growing up in a Filipino or Laotian family, if you're growing up in a more traditional family, I feel like a lot of us can relate to this. Our parents can be a little protective of us, right? But that's also their way of showing that they care. And that's something I feel like that a lot of us can relate to because we see that our parents, like to ask us like, "Oh, where you're going?" or like, "Who are you going with?" And it's something that I've seen that is very similar between our two cultures.
Oh wait, can I like go back to like that family oriented thing that like you mentioned, Alexis? Like, because I was thinking about it, like, is it like the same with like your culture? Like, because like when people come over, like my house, let's say, like, and they're staying over, we like give up our rooms for them. So like we end up sleeping in like the messed up room, and then, like they get like the really really nice one.
I don't usually have people stay over at my house, but I feel like we have. How do I? For family members, if they come and stay over, like our cousins, then they do sleep in the same room as us, or they get the couch. That sounds terrible. I don't mean it in that way.
Yeah.
Like, our couches are good couches enough for them to be able to sleep on, right? Because it's only for like one day. And we give them blankets and pillows, and they're all washed. And we give them sheets to cover the couches with, because everybody sits on the couches, and it can be a little unsanitary. So we have sheets and everything to cover, and we still make it as comfortable as possible for everybody. Because it's kind of hard to like switch out of our rooms for us.
Like, oh yeah, also like, okay, so like for like after like people like sleep over, usually like a Filipino breakfast would be like rice and then like corned beef or like spam and like egg and stuff. Like, what about you guys? Like, I'm just curious about that too.
You mentioned rice, right? Is it
Yeah.
in like is it in like a porridge or just like a plate where
Oh,
you
just like a plate of rice and then like you just have like the other stuff.
Okay. Your guys' breakfast sounds good. Yeah.
No, thank you.
So good.
For us, we usually cook rice porridge. You can add in like soy sauce and cilantro, so vegetables, and also pepper, because pepper, I mean, us Lao people like to put pepper, I guess, even in the morning. But mostly porridge, and there are these crispy bread pieces we call chapgoy, and we eat it with the kaupiak, which is the rice porridge. And they're like these baked or fried, I don't know, how do you describe them? Like these bread pieces that you can eat with the porridge, and it's super good in the morning. So good.
Is it like crunchy or is it like soft? Like, because I'm
Yeah,
thinking
it's
about
crispy.
croutons.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
They're crispy, yeah.
Dang, that sounds good.
Mhm.
Caitlin, you're making me hungry now for that.
I know we keep talking about food, and I'm just like, I want to eat something right now.
What I was thinking about too is like the logs where it's like tapsilog or like longsilog and just changes the meat up. So basically, Alexa just like egg, rice, and then some kind of meat, but then the end of the word is the same of just like silog, but then the beginning changes based on whatever the meat is. So like tapsilog would just be like tapa, which is just beef. And then there was, what else is there? Like longsilog, it's just longanisa, that's like sausage. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the other ones right now. Do you guys know the other ones? Is it like, you don't know?
Yeah.
But there's like so many. It literally only changes just because the meat changes. And that's what I used to do whenever I would go to the Philippines. Like that's all they would serve us at like the thing. It's just like different versions. I don't even know that's officially what you call it, but that's how my sister.
That sounds cool.
Mhm.
We think it's the funniest thing in the world that's how they like come up with it. It's just changing the beginning of.
Like,
Pretty similar to like us. We have the same prefix for, let's say, kaupiak and kaupun. The kaupun was the curry and pepper based soup, and then kaupiak is the rice porridge, but it's both cow because cow means rice. So it's sort of similar.
See, I don't know enough Tagalog to know what Silog is, but yeah. Cut the pot out. That's embarrassing for me to.
No, this whole thing about food was good. Like, I feel like we kind of think of like things to talk about after it's already passed.
I know.
like, oh yeah, like literally one of these days, cause like near my house, like we have like this Asian corner, so like you have like what was it like I think like you have this store called Kim Nong, so like you got all your Asian groceries, and then you got like QQ Bakery, and like what was it like I don't know, there's just a bunch of like random stores around. Like in another area we have like H Mart, another one's like 168, and then like there was another one, but I think I forgot. Oh yeah, like what was it? There's like a Filipino restaurant that like moved here from Detroit. It's called Isla. So like that'd be really cool if we all went there together and get some Filipino food.
Yeah.
Going up there to like Madison Heights is actually my favorite thing because we love going to Kim Yum and QQ Bakery, get that boba and the
Yes.
buns and everything, and 168 Market. That is the place.
Moving on to the last question. Recently, Steven Yeun made history by becoming the first Asian American actor to be nominated for Best Actor in the Oscars for the movie Minari. This leads us to question the authenticity of representation of Asian Americans in Hollywood. How do you guys feel about the current Asian representation in the media?
Sometimes I wish there was more of it. Just because, like, I feel like there can always be more of it. Not even just for, like, Asian representation. It's like people. But, this reminds me of, like, two scenarios. One was when my sister and I just finished with, and I was just crying. It felt so good to see, like, someone that you would want to look just like me. Because growing up, I was a princess. But then, like, none of them looked like me besides Mulan. Not Filipino, so it was different. But yeah, it just felt so good to see someone that just like could represent me and I could, or even just seeing changes from like book to movie adaptations. Like I always talk about this with you guys, the show Shadow and Bone on it. The main character is supposed to be just like a white character, but then the author decided to change it so that she's biracial, and so there would just be like different scenarios that people today face that she faced in the show and that relate to stuff. So I don't know. It's just seeing the little things like that, how people are making a step forward in the right direction. They warm my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because I feel like it's gotten better since the past because we've seen in previous movies or like older movies that there isn't much representation of people of color or Asian characters in there. And I'm hoping that now that we're going forward, a step forward, even though it's not fully the best right now, but we're seeing more of Asian characters in movies. But I'm just hoping that it's not because these productions feel like they have to cast Asian people, for example, to make it diverse. Like I hope that they're casting these characters or these people because they feel that they can bring something into the film and bring their own talent in, and not because that just of their color or their race or ethnicity. Because us people of color have something to bring into everywhere, and I feel like we have to sort of start realizing that and making sure that there is equal representation in the media for everybody.
Yeah, like what Lauren and Alexa said, like even sometimes when there are Asian characters, there's this thing there, I wrote it down somewhere. It's called near silent Asian roles. You have an Asian, but they're quiet because they're mysterious, or they just you see them and they just don't talk at all, or they have the least amount of lines because that's how their setup is, which is just really dumb because you're just having lack of representation for those Asians who are in that role, and you are silencing us, kind of that stereotype that like Asians are quiet and that we can be taken advantage of, which isn't true. Also whitewashing characters or just a whole plot or a movie. For example, Ghost in the Shell, which is a manga, and the movie, the lead actress was Scarlett Johansson, and I'm like, this is like a whole Asian manga, and you're having a white character with an Asian name, which I don't even know how that worked, but go off, I guess. But just those kinds of things. I also talked about it with Kate, but what is it, Death Note, and they had
the
a
Netflix
movie.
adaptation.
Yeah, the Netflix adaptation with just like non-Asian characters, and obviously it's like a Japanese anime show, just like replacing the characters with white people or just non-Asians in general.
Like, going back to like the Asian stereotypes and like shows and like just like the media in general, like I feel like a lot, like they include a lot of characters who are submissive, and like it's just that like, and it seems like people can just step on us and then we'll just like take it. That's like one thing I really dislike about like some of like the movies and like well, like back then, like now it's like definitely improving. And like also like I wanted to like mention that like it just like it surprises me that like I've looked this up before, but like Filipino Americans, we make up like the second largest, wait, I have it written down here. We're like the second largest Asian population, like according to like 2010 census. And like just like seeing that like we don't have that much representation, like just in movies, we don't even have like our own movie like that's like pretty big. Like it makes me kind of sad. Like I'm happy to see like some improvement with like Blue's Clues. You got like the host, he's Filipino, and
Oh
like
yeah.
yeah, and then like even like Disney, like you have Olivia Rodrigo, like she's getting really big now, and it's just nice to see like another like Filipino American there, and like you just feel more comfortable and like more comfortable with yourself since like everyone you're becoming more surrounded by like people who look just like you.
Yeah.
There's just like no better feeling than like you look up an actor or actress and then they're also Filipino. Like I don't know if that's just, but it gives me so much excitement. It's like knowing that like there's someone like me on the big screen like that. Like even when I watched Shadow and Bone this time, just seeing like an Asian character who was not just like a filler character, just diversity like in the show. Just seeing like the main character, a total badass, like she's totally the main character. Just in awe of her, but she's also Asian. Like just something that's just so relieving to see. Even though there could be more, it's just nice to finally get like that representation that I feel like has been long overdue.
Like it's pretty like empowering to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the older movies that actually stood out to me, the original Cinderella had the prince as a Filipino American actor, and I was like, that is so cool to see because not many movies from back then are like really featured Asian actors, and I was like, it's nice to see an Asian character because you're sort of seeing somebody who looks like you, is similar to you, and it was just unique, I guess, that movie. Even though the production and everything is different from now, right? Because it was
Yeah.
a few years ago.
Like now I'm thinking about like so okay, like I really like Taylor Swift, so like I was watching her music video for Willow and like cuz I was watching and I was like, "Wait, the main lead, like the guy, I'm like he looks Asian." And I was like, "What?" So I looked him up. Yeah, he's like Korean. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, we got representation here for Asians." And like cuz like usually like when I watch like music videos, like you don't see that the love interest is like an Asian guy. So like it's just nice to see like, you know, there's like improvement there too.
Yeah, when you told me that, I was just like, yes, get it, Taylor. Get the Asian boy.
People finally realizing that us Asians are beautiful too.
Oh, for real.
Underestimated.
I like also think about like just to touch on this a little bit, I feel like with, you know, like the increase in like I guess like exposure with like K-pop for instance, and just like anime too. I feel like it's also nice to have that around in like our environment, and it's like pretty much like socially acceptable too. Like cuz people are so used to it now. So like it just makes me happy just to see that too.
Yeah.
In celebration of AAPI, we hope you enjoyed our first episode with the co-cultural directors. This month is an important time to remind ourselves of the achievements and struggles by Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. Remember to be proud of your roots and culture.
We'll be closing off our first episode of the Second Floor Studio. Don't forget to follow us on our Facebook and Instagram for updates on the podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
Hi.
Bye.